Friends, after a woman's husband passed away, leaving her a widow, you'll be shocked to find out what her son did next. It's a story of struggle, compassion, and an unexpected turn of events. You won't believe what happened. Watch till the end to find out the full story, and if you enjoy the video, please give it a like. Also, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon. Let's get started. Once upon a time, there was a 12-year-old boy named Ethan who lived with his mother and older sister in a modest 3-story townhouse in Queens, New York. The house had been built up over the years by his father, who had worked at a private company. His father passed away unexpectedly 5 years ago at the age of 35. He was the sole breadwinner of the family, and his sudden death created a vacuum that would never be filled. Ethan's mother was only 27 years old when her husband died. At such a young age, she found herself alone, struggling to provide for her children. The pain of losing her husband was overwhelming, but the financial burden was even more crushing. The company where Ethan's father worked provided them with a small payout, about $2,000, which was far from enough to sustain them for long. And unfortunately, none of their relatives or friends came forward to offer any support. They say that in times of hardship, even relatives become strangers, and that's exactly what happened. Ethan's family, once surrounded by people, now found themselves isolated. Everyone went on with their own lives, and no one cared to check on them. Ethan's mother, who had always been a loving and caring wife, found herself in a new, unfamiliar role. With no one else to turn to, she became the sole caretaker of her family. She spent her days grieving and her nights worrying about how to feed her children. She spent all her time at home trying to make ends meet. Despite her best efforts, the money her husband had left behind was quickly running out. As time passed, the financial strain became unbearable. They were unable to pay the bills, and food was becoming scarce. Ethan's mother did everything she could to save money. She cut down on expenses, sold whatever little they had, and tried to make the best of their dire situation. But even with all her sacrifices, the money was gone within 10 months. With no other options left, Ethan's mother made a difficult decision. She would have to leave the house and find work to support her children. As Ethan's mother ventured out to find work, she faced the harsh reality of a woman alone, struggling to support 2 children in a big American city. She first found a job as a housekeeper in one home. The pay was minimal, but it was a start. She continued her search and soon managed to secure 2 more cleaning jobs. With 3 jobs, she earned a total of about $120 a month, though it was barely enough to cover their daily expenses. Ethan's mother persevered. However, even with this small income, life was still difficult. Utilities had to be paid, the mortgage had to be covered, and the children's needs had to be met. The pressure was immense. Half of her income was spent on getting Ethan and his sister what they needed for school: bus passes, school supplies, and lunch money, leaving her with very little to get by. Ethan, on the other hand, was doing his best to stay focused on his education. Despite the constant worry over food and money at home, he tried not to let it affect his studies. But soon, the weight of hunger and stress took a toll on him. For 2 days, Ethan hadn't eaten anything. His body grew weak and he couldn't focus. His stomach ached and he felt drained. He drank only water to keep himself going, hoping it would provide some relief. Yet, as he sat in class, he felt his energy draining away. His vision blurred, and everything around him seemed to be fading into darkness. Ethan's teacher, Mr. Carter, noticed the change in him. He saw the pale, weak boy struggling to stay awake and wondered what was wrong. Concerned, Mr. Carter approached him and gently asked, "What's wrong with you, Ethan? Are you feeling all right?" Ethan, with great difficulty, opened his eyes and replied, "Yes, sir, I'm fine." Mr. Carter wasn't convinced. He could see that Ethan was far from fine, so he insisted, "Tell me what's really going on. You don't look okay." Ethan hesitated, but after a few moments, he admitted, "We have no food at home. We haven't eaten for 2 days. I'm not feeling well." Mr. Carter's heart sank upon hearing this. He could see how much Ethan was suffering. Without a second thought, he stood up, guided Ethan to the teacher's lounge, and immediately asked the school's security guard to run to the corner deli. Mr. Carter handed him some cash and told him, "Quickly, bring something for Ethan to eat." The guard rushed out and, within minutes, returned with a cheeseburger and a soda. Mr. Carter handed the food to Ethan and said, "Here, eat this. You need to recover your strength." Ethan hesitated at first, but the moment he bit into the burger and took a sip of the soda, he began to feel better. His head cleared, and he felt the energy slowly returning to his body. His vision, once clouded, now seemed clear, and for the first time in days, Ethan felt something resembling normalcy. Mr. Carter, still worried but relieved to see Ethan improving, asked, "How do you feel now?" Ethan nodded weakly, his face finally showing a sign of relief. "I'm better, sir. Thank you," Mr. Carter smiled warmly. "Good. Now go back to class, and after school, I want you to come see me in my office." As the school bell rang for the end of the day, Ethan walked toward Mr. Carter's office, still feeling a bit weak, but now able to think clearly. When he arrived, Mr. Carter was waiting for him. "Don't worry, Ethan. I'm going to help you," Mr. Carter said as he stood up. He took Ethan by the shoulder and walked him to his car. "Come on, I'll take you to the grocery store." Mr. Carter drove with Ethan, and together they went to the neighborhood supermarket. Mr. Carter bought everything Ethan's family needed: flour, rice, lentils, sugar, and other essentials. He didn't stop there. Mr. Carter took the groceries directly to Ethan's home. When they arrived, Ethan's mother wasn't there yet. She worked late into the night cleaning houses, often returning home in the early hours of the morning. Mr. Carter placed the groceries in the kitchen and then turned to Ethan. "Don't worry about anything now. From now on, I will make sure your family has everything they need. I'll bring food every month so you can focus on your studies and not have to worry about where your next meal is coming from." Ethan felt a deep sense of relief wash over him. He had never imagined that someone outside his family would care so much. Mr. Carter's kindness was like a beacon of light in the darkest time of his life. Before leaving, Mr. Carter turned to Ethan and said, "I know things are tough right now, but focus on your education. It's the key to a better future. I'll make sure the rest is taken care of." Mr. Carter's intervention was not a one-time gesture. He kept his promise to Ethan and his family. Every month, without fail, Mr. Carter would send groceries to their home. Ethan's mother couldn't believe the kindness of this man, who was not even a close relative. Despite his modest salary, Mr. Carter continued to help without ever asking for anything in return. He often visited Ethan's house, making sure that the family had enough food to get through the month. The support Mr. Carter provided didn't stop at just food. One day, when Ethan's mother came home, she was surprised to see a full kitchen with all the necessary groceries stocked up. She asked in disbelief, "How did all this get here?" Ethan, who was sitting nearby, explained, "It was Mr. Carter. He's been sending these groceries every month. He even spoke to the school administration and got my 3 months of unpaid school fees and lunch balance waived." Upon hearing this, Ethan's mother broke down in tears. She couldn't believe that someone who had no obligation to them would go so far to help. Mr. Carter's selflessness overwhelmed her, and she prayed for his well-being, thankful for the immense help he had provided during their most difficult times. Mr. Carter's actions went beyond what most people would do. He took a real interest in Ethan's future. He knew that the only way Ethan and his family could escape poverty was through education. Mr. Carter encouraged Ethan to focus solely on his studies and promised that he would always be there for him. Despite the hardship, Ethan's mother was incredibly grateful, but she couldn't help but feel guilty that she wasn't able to repay Mr. Carter for his kindness. However, Mr. Carter, always humble, assured her, "You don't need to thank me. Consider me family. Helping you is the least I can do. You and Ethan are like family to me." While Ethan's mother worked tirelessly to make ends meet, Mr. Carter's regular support ensured that they never had to worry about food again. Over time, Ethan's mother felt a sense of peace, knowing that someone cared for them and that her children would not go hungry. As the months passed, Ethan focused on his studies with renewed determination. He became more and more motivated to succeed. Inspired by Mr. Carter's selfless help, Ethan began to dream of a better life. A life where he could repay his teacher for everything Mr. Carter had done for him. Despite all the struggles, Ethan's schoolwork improved. He worked diligently and began to excel in his classes. His teachers noticed the change in him. The weak, distracted boy who had once struggled to stay awake was now attentive, focused, and full of hope. But Mr. Carter's influence didn't just stop at providing groceries or covering school costs. He had instilled in Ethan the belief that no matter how difficult life became, education would always be the key to overcoming obstacles. Ethan believed that if he worked hard enough, he could change his life and, in turn, help others, just as Mr. Carter had helped him. Mr. Carter's impact on Ethan was immeasurable. He was not only a teacher but also a mentor, a guiding light in the darkest time of Ethan's life. The lessons he imparted went beyond the classroom and into the heart of Ethan's life journey. Ethan, now with the courage to dream of a better future, focused entirely on his education. He knew that someday he would repay Mr. Carter in the best way possible, by becoming successful and helping others in the same way. Time passed, and Ethan's life began to change in ways he had never imagined. With Mr. Carter's unwavering support, Ethan was able to focus entirely on his studies. He poured his heart and soul into learning, never forgetting the sacrifices his mother had made and the kindness Mr. Carter had shown him. He worked harder than ever before, knowing that this was his chance to build a better future for himself and his family. One day, Ethan received the news he had been dreaming of. He had been awarded a full scholarship to study at a prestigious university abroad in Canada. The joy that filled his heart was indescribable. It was as if all the hardships he and his family had endured were finally coming to an end. Ethan's mother and sister were overjoyed by the news. For the first time in years, they had something to celebrate. Ethan never imagined that he would one day be able to study overseas. It seemed like a far-off dream, something only the rich and privileged could achieve. But now that dream was within his reach. The university sent him his airline ticket, and he was about to embark on a new chapter of his life. The day Ethan left for his studies abroad, his mother and sister stood by his side, both with tears in their eyes. Ethan hugged them tightly and promised that he would work hard to make them proud. As he boarded the plane, he couldn't help but reflect on how far he had come, from a boy struggling to survive to a young man with a bright future ahead of him. After a long flight, Ethan finally landed in a new country. The university had arranged everything for him. His food, housing, and all his expenses were taken care of. Ethan was overwhelmed with gratitude. He knew that he was standing at the threshold of a new life, and it was all thanks to the support of people like Mr. Carter. Ethan settled into his new life, but he never forgot about his family back home in Queens, New York. The scholarship not only covered his expenses, but also provided him with a small stipend, which he sent back to his mother every month. He knew she was still working hard to support herself and his sister, and he wanted to make sure they were taken care of. Ethan encouraged his mother to stop working as a housekeeper, telling her that he could now support her. He wanted her to rest and enjoy the fruits of her labor. Ethan's life was finally beginning to turn around, and he felt a deep sense of pride and responsibility to take care of the family that had sacrificed so much for him. Over time, Ethan's financial situation improved even further. He secured a part-time campus job while studying, and the money he earned helped him send even more to his mother. His hard work paid off as he became more settled in his new life. His mother, who had once struggled to feed her children, now had the means to live a more comfortable life. She used the money Ethan sent to fix up their home, buy new furniture, and make their house feel like a real home. The family's life, which had once been filled with worry and hardship, was now filled with hope and promise. The relatives who had once ignored Ethan's family, the ones who never checked in on them when times were tough, suddenly began to appear at their doorstep. They came with smiles and offers of help, as if they had always been there. Ethan didn't hold any grudges, but he couldn't help but notice how quickly people's attitudes had changed now that his family was doing better. In the meantime, Ethan's sister finished her studies, and the family began to look forward to the future with excitement. Ethan's success had become a beacon of hope for them, and they all felt a sense of pride in his achievements. As the years went by, Ethan's hard work paid off in ways he could never have dreamed of. He successfully completed his degree and received a job offer from a prestigious company in Seattle, Washington. The offer was generous, with a starting salary that would have seemed unimaginable during his childhood, around $85,000 a year. Ethan was overjoyed. It was a testament to all the sacrifices he and his family had made, and he felt immense pride in how far he had come. Before leaving for Seattle, Ethan went shopping for gifts for his mother and sister. He wanted to show them just how much they meant to him. The day he left was an emotional one. His mother held him tightly and kissed him on the forehead, her eyes filled with tears of joy. She had seen her son go from struggling to survive to becoming a successful young man with a bright future. It was a dream come true for both of them. Ethan's first day at his new job as a general manager was overwhelming. As he sat at his desk, taking in his new position and the responsibility that came with it, he couldn't help but think of Mr. Carter. It was Mr. Carter who had given him the chance to succeed, who had helped him when he was at his lowest point. Without Mr. Carter's kindness, without his unwavering support, Ethan knew that none of this would have been possible. Mr. Carter had not only helped Ethan with food and school costs, but he had also instilled in him the belief that no matter how difficult life became, education would always be the key to overcoming adversity. Ethan owed everything he had to that one act of kindness. As Ethan sat at his desk thinking of his teacher, he realized that he had to find Mr. Carter and express his gratitude. He immediately arranged for the company car to be sent and made his way to the school where Mr. Carter had once taught him. When he arrived, he learned that Mr. Carter had left the school a year ago. He couldn't stop himself from feeling a sense of urgency. He needed to find Mr. Carter and thank him properly. After some searching, Ethan managed to get Mr. Carter's address. He arrived at Mr. Carter's house with a basket of fresh fruit and pastries, hoping to show his gratitude. When he saw Mr. Carter, he was shocked. Mr. Carter, once full of energy and vitality, now looked weak and frail. The teacher who had once helped him in his darkest hour was now in need of help himself. Mr. Carter had been tutoring to make ends meet, but the years had taken a toll on him. Ethan was deeply concerned. He immediately arranged for Mr. Carter to receive medical treatment and started sending groceries and supplies to his home every day. Ethan wanted to ensure that Mr. Carter and his family were well taken care of, just as Mr. Carter had done for him and his family when they were in need. Mr. Carter's health gradually improved and he regained his strength. Ethan's mother, who had already developed a close bond with Mr. Carter's daughter, visited their house. Mr. Carter's daughter, who had been helping him with tutoring, was a bright young woman who had recently graduated. Ethan's mother took a liking to her, and soon Ethan's family proposed that the two should get to know each other seriously. With both families' blessing, and after spending time together, Ethan and Mr. Carter's daughter decided to marry. Mr. Carter, seeing how his daughter was treated with respect and care by Ethan's family, happily agreed to the match. A man who had once been the one to offer help now found himself in a position where he was being helped in return. He felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude to God for bringing Ethan into his life. Mr. Carter's kindness, which had been a seed planted so many years ago, had blossomed into a lifelong bond of love, respect, and mutual support. Ethan had become a successful man, not just because of his own efforts, but because of the incredible support he had received from Mr. Carter. He realized that the kindness he had received from his teacher had made all the difference in his life. The teacher, who had once been a guiding light in his darkest time, had now become a part of his family. Ethan, with a heart full of gratitude, promised to continue Mr. Carter's legacy of helping others. He knew that someday, he too would pass on the kindness that had been shown to him. In this way, the cycle of kindness, love, and support would continue, and others would be given the chance to change their lives, just as he had. Friends, this was today's story, a story of struggle, sacrifice, and the power of kindness. It showed us how one small act of compassion can change the entire direction of a person's life. Think about it. Ethan's father passed away at such a young age, leaving behind a grieving wife, a son, and a daughter with nothing but uncertainty. The family was abandoned by relatives and friends, left to fight their battles alone. His mother sacrificed everything, working multiple jobs just to put food on the table. And yet, life kept pushing them down. But in their darkest hour, one man stepped in, Mr. Carter, a teacher. He didn't just give Ethan a meal, he gave him hope. He didn't just provide groceries, he gave them dignity. And most importantly, he gave Ethan the belief that education could change everything. From that single act of kindness, a chain reaction began. Ethan studied harder, grew stronger, and eventually achieved what once seemed impossible. He earned a scholarship, studied abroad, built a career, and lifted his entire family out of poverty. And when the time came, Ethan did not forget. He returned to the very man who once helped him, only to find Mr. Carter weak and struggling. Just like Mr. Carter had once lifted him up, Ethan now held his teacher's hand and said, "Don't worry, sir. Just as you once stood by me, I will now stand by you." This story teaches us a powerful lesson. Kindness is never wasted. Even the smallest act of help can plant a seed that grows into a tree of blessings. What you give to the world will one day return to you, sometimes in ways you never imagined. Imagine, friends, if Mr. Carter had ignored Ethan that day, if he had thought, "This isn't my responsibility," Ethan's story might have ended in tragedy. But because of one man's compassion, an entire family's destiny was rewritten. So, let this be a reminder for all of us. You don't have to be rich to help someone. You don't have to be powerful to make a difference. Sometimes, a small gesture, a meal, a kind word, a helping hand can change someone's entire life. Ethan's story proves that true wealth is not measured in money, but in the lives we touch. His success was not his alone. It was built on his mother's sacrifices, his teacher's kindness, and his own determination. Friends, if you take anything from today's story, let it be this. Be someone's Mr. Carter. Be someone's hope, because you never know. The kindness you give today might become the miracle someone is praying for. That's it for today's video, friends. Tell us in the comments, what did you learn from Ethan's journey? Did it touch your heart? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and remember, kindness can change the world, one life at a time.